and Mr. Danny Perkins. So I'm going to invite the kids up because I'd rather have them be up here talking than me. So come on up, guys. Ready? Pretty piece cake? Yeah. Okay. So we're going to start with Mason and Diego. If you could go to that next slide. Oh, perfect. Go ahead, Mason.
I really had fun at engineering club. I would definitely recommend this club. After school clubs help you learn even after school.
Next, we have Joseph.
I think other students should come to clubs because it gives kids more fun things to do and helps like talk about with other students who like the same thing. About a building a solar panel car, I would recommend this club for other kids. I had so much fun at engineering club.
Martha's not here, but I'm going to read her slide. So if we can go to the next one. I learned a lot about making stuff and making electricity. It was lots of fun to learn stuff and make things that work. Next slide, please.
When we first entered a competition, we saw a lot of middle schoolers who had most likely had several different classes with high level engineering. The, the fact that we did an amazing job when we were there and did even makes it even more amazing. We came as a bunch of fifth graders who barely knew anything, and we got to compete. I I thought it was just awesome, and I I thought it was really awesome. I think it's a great story that can teach kids you can do anything.
In engineering club, we did things ranging from robotic programming to windmill engineering. I enjoyed it very much and would do it again.
And if you have each have one question for them, I know that they would be more than willing to answer those for you.
Right, if I turn mine, there we go. That's loud. Hold it back here.
Hello, thank you so much for coming and sharing your experience. My name is Eliza Davis. I've actually worked in your school before as a liaison, lots of fun. I'm curious about how many students participate in engineering club and how often do you do it? And what's your absolute favorite part?
They're counting. They're counting right now.
My question's pretty easy. I'm wondering who wants to do something like this again next year? Awesome.
Did you do this as a team? And how did that work out? Was it hard to work together? Did people have different ideas or?
So solar engineering and wind engineering, which one did you find more challenging and why? Go ahead. It's really evident to me that that not only have all of you learned a lot through this process, but I don't think I could stand up where you are and explain everything you just touched on. You said a lot of words that were foreign to me, and that's good. I'm happy that it seems like you found excitement in this process and through this process, and my hope for you is that you continue to feed upon that excitement of those successes that you had throughout this process to further engage in this area. So I appreciate it. And I do want to say, Connor with an O, that's the right way to spell it. So
Yeah. Thank you so much for your
Yeah, of
time. I
course.
really appreciate it.
thank you all. Yeah. Would the actually real quick, would the students and their families come up? We'd like to take pictures with you all, if that's all right. All right, it is 5:17. We're going to go ahead and kick off our work study session. This work study, we're going to be talking about school consolidation work, and Dr. Mickelson is going to be presenting. Welcome.
All right. Good afternoon, school board. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Miriam Mickelson, and I have the great honor and pleasure of working in the district as school consolidation consultant, taking over Dr. Rumba after she transitioned from that role to the interim superintendent role. My duties and responsibilities as school consolidation consultant, as you are aware, primarily revolve around supporting the implementation of the school consolidation plan that had already been put in place. And my role tonight for this work session is to give you an update on what's the latest with the school consolidation process. And we will start with the fiscal updates. I will go through my presentation, and at the end of it, we will have questions and discussion. I started mid-March, so I may not have all of the context, but I will rely on Dr. Ramba to help me out and the rest of the team if there are questions I'm not able to answer. Fiscal updates. So in our effort as a district to explain cost savings germane to the school closures and school consolidations, or building closures, I should say, and consolidations, because of enrollment decline and financial constraints, the district has described these items as savings related to particular buildings. And we heard feedback from our staff, and so we are more appropriately describing these as cost savings to the district. So emphasis on the district as a whole as opposed to individual buildings. So these cost savings to the district, as they pertain to the school closure or the building closure and consolidations, are broken into 4 major categories. The first bucket there is the projected cost savings to the district due to the building closure, and that amount is $397,806.60. The second bucket there is projected cost savings to the district due to the school consolidations, and that amounts to $981,830.05. The third category there is projected cost savings to the district due to program pauses, and that amount is $390,203.35. And finally, projected cost savings to the district from staffing reductions at Legacy High School, that's $441,510.87, totaling roughly $2.2 million. So that's the fiscal update for tonight. Updates related to facilities and operations. I will not read all of the words in there, but the key points on this slide is that the central office, or the district office, facility staff primarily, will be responsible for inventory and planning for the move of any equipment, be that IT equipment, P equipment, or other school resources. And they will also be responsible for inventory and planning to move furniture, student desks, chairs, tables, teacher desks, and chairs. Similarly, curriculum materials, the inventory and redistribution will also be taken care of by the district office. So the idea being that we want to take care of this piece so it does not fall on the lap of our very busy building administrators and staff. Transportation updates. These are more reminders than updates per se, because we have shared these pieces of information previously, but it bears repeating because it's very important information. So we just wanted to emphasize that the feeder patterns to our middle schools and then to our high schools, they have not changed. The only exception is that our elementary schools, our elementary students who would have attended MMS, they would now be routed to either Cedar Crest or Totem. And we shared the school boundary flow chart recently, and I wonder if we can actually click on that link, just as a reminder. So the middle and high school students' attendance is based on their neighborhood elementary school. So this piece of information has been shared broadly, and it also lives on our website for easy reference for our families. So students from elementary school students from Allen Creek, Grove, Kellogg Marsh, Liberty, Sunnyside, as you can see, they will attend Cedar Crest, and that school feeds into Marysville Getchell. Elementary school students who attend Cascade, Marshall, Pinewood, QCT, and Schultes. They attend Totem, and that feeds into Marysville Pilchuck. So if we can go back to the transportation, our transportation staff are hard at work developing new routes that will account for the MMS changes, and they will do that during their normal routing processes and timelines. Staffing, HR updates, not much to share at this point, other than to say that our superintendent, Dr. Ramba, is working with HR and Dan Pullman, Finance, to determine staffing needs for next year. And we are fairly confident that we will be able to finish everything, of course, before the statutory deadline of May 15th for certificated staff, and work on classified staffing will follow shortly thereafter. Communication updates, we just would like to reassure the board that we remain committed to open and regular communication with regards to school consolidation. So we have weekly updates for principals that go out Thursday morning every week. And every week, our staff on a Thursday afternoon, they receive information or updates about the school consolidation, and our families receive information for us every Friday afternoon. One important thing to highlight that's actually a celebration is our FAQ regarding the inclusion of grade 6 at elementary schools beginning with the 2025-2026 school year. And I say that this is a celebration because this is a very responsive document to feedback that we heard from staff and families. They have a number of questions related to 6th grade now being at elementary. And so we put this FAQ together. And the questions are bundled into 5 major categories: academics, social emotional learning, logistics, extracurricular, and technology. And this FAQ was first communicated to families during conferences and communicated using various platforms, communication channels in the district, and this now lives on our website as well under school consolidation. If we can just click on that fairly quickly. So there are about 3 pages of frequently asked questions, and this is a living dynamic document. So if there are more questions from our families and staff that we feel should be added, then we will do that and we will alert everybody. It's about 3 pages there, and I just would like to thank our building principals for providing us with input on this FAQ, and many thanks to Jody Runyon, our communications director, for putting this together on very short notice. Elementary school updates. There are 2 major updates related to elementary. First is around Chromebooks. Our 6th grade students will not be taking Chromebooks home, and this is in alignment with elementary school practice. There will be instead Chromebooks in carts for student use during the day. And the other update for elementary has to do with the 6th grade 0-hour band family survey that went live at the end of March, and we closed it on April 15th. The purpose of the survey was to gauge family interest in 0-hour band. And 0-hour, the term 0-hour simply means that the class is offered before the official start time for elementary, i.e. 8:15, because the classes are proposed to be held at the middle school. We had 119 responses. It's pretty good, but could be better because we have about 700 5th graders. Of the 119 responses as of April 15th, 76, or about 64%, express an interest in participating in 0-hour band, and 72 named that they could provide or rent their own instruments, and 59, or about 50% of those interested, or of the total respondents, said that they would need transportation. So 119 responses, out of 700, so that's about 16%. So good participation rate, but could be better. So we are exploring the idea right now of reopening the survey and having that available for perhaps 3 weeks, but we are finalizing that because we have our middle school band teachers doing tours at the elementary, and they would like the survey to remain open until they finish the elementary tours because that might generate more interest in our students. So more updates to come on this. For our middle school updates, Dan Pullman, Finance, and our Superintendent, Dr. Rumba, met with our MMS staff and administrators last week to discuss cost savings from the consolidation and also to just be available to hear concerns and address staff questions. MMS certificated staffing work is underway, and we expect that to be finished soon and shared with our staff. Efforts around collaboration, we again remain committed to making this a collaborative and inclusive process. And so we have biweekly meetings. We, meaning the superintendent and myself, we now have biweekly meetings with MEA and the music subcommittees, the curriculum planning subcommittees, elementary, middle, librarian committees, and school visits and administrative planning still ongoing. You heard about those at the last update shared by Dr. Rumba. So we continue to do our very best to be collaborative, to be responsive, to be informative and transparent about the process. And I will say that while these cost savings measures are necessitated by enrollment decline and significant financial constraints, they're necessary, they're still very painful. That's not lost on us. It's hard. I think we're doing our very best. And those are the updates. And now we'll open it up for questions and discussion from the board.
I'll start. I think you did a great job of answering some of my, just initial questions, including how many rising sixth graders we had, just to put that response rate into context. So thank you for that. Talking about 0-hour band, I think at one. I don't know what's causing feedback. I think at one point we had talked about maybe fifth graders, but this is right now the opportunity is open just to our sixth graders. Is that correct? Okay. And then just curious a little bit more about the thinking with respect to Chromebooks for our sixth graders, staying with them. I heard you say it's kind of the elementary model, so it's consistent with that. And just kind of, I guess I would just be curious a little bit more to hear a little bit more about that, because our sixth graders now probably take them home and use different, programs and tools to manage homework and things like that. So just kind of wondering what the thought process was there.
And I entered into this conversation a little bit late. So Dr. Ramba, if there's information that I was not privy to, I think that primarily really it's to make sure that we are in alignment with what already is the practice at the elementary, because otherwise it might just be harder to navigate. Having said that, there are of course limitations, and our teachers have to be mindful of the fact that our students are not going to be able to take the Chromebooks home. And so if there's a homework assignment, for example, that would require technology and a student does not have access to technology, that they're just mindful of that. And I think that there will be an opportunity to check one out on a case-by-case basis. But logistically speaking, and just in keeping with elementary school practice, there are Chromebook carts in buildings.
One last question. I'm just wondering kind of what the response was like from families during conference week, and if we're feeling confident that we've reached a lot of those rising sixth graders. And then just kind of curious how people are receiving this change, if we had any feedback from our principals about that.
I met with our elementary school principals 2 weeks ago or something like that, and I shared the survey results with them. They did not share a lot of feedback from the conferences, and I think because primarily it served a different purpose, and the teachers were just sharing that there's a survey out there, so please fill it out. So I did not hear a lot of feedback from our principals, from families during conferences.
Thanks for the FAQ sheet. That's good to have that information. I think that's, I clicked on that and that's very helpful. I have a couple questions and they're probably both too early to tell, but at this point, do we have any idea on the number of students or classes that are going to be at the elementaries and how many have applied to go to 10th Street or other sources?
I believe we don't have that information.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think it's okay. Second is a question just on the process for the reassignment of teachers. I'm just kind of curious as to what kind of process is being used for that. Is it based, are we going with purely seniority or requests, or how is that kind of working out at this point?
Would you like to have HR give us an update?
Yeah, be awesome. Yeah.
Okay. Essentially,
yeah,
we're following the contract. We did not engage in a separate memorandum of understanding. So we feel like between the survey from MMS staff, seniority, and what's outlined in the contract, that we're able to make all of those placements. We are really close to being able to say that we are done with that process. We are just double and triple checking between HR and the finance department to make sure that we have all the information.
Okay, thanks.
Standing up like she wants to.
Did you want to take from your?
We've got, if it's not, I was just kind of curious.
I'm sorry, I understand there's a question.
Yes, I think we're okay.
Okay.
I do appreciate the FAQ section. I know that the grade six the elementary school reconfiguration has been probably one of the more concerning subjects in the community, and so appreciate that. Are we able to identify how many touches that FAQ gets on a regular basis?
There is a way to see how many.
So Google Analytics tracks how many contacts are made with the district website as a whole, but not individual pages or individual documents.
Appreciate it. I only asked that question because even though we have the FAQ, which is a really good tool, I think that it's probably paramount that we're still marketing that FAQ exists and not relying on the community to go to the page and look it up, if that makes sense. That's great. Yeah, thank you very much. Are there any other questions from the board?
I would just, I guess that was my thought too.
That's it from the board. That concludes our work study with, as far as school consolidation goes. Thank you very much. And I think we're going to jump into Marysville Adult Transition Program. This is presented by Dr. Sue-Ann Bowie. Thank you very much.
I'm Dr. Quinn Ruby. I am a consultant that has been assigned to Marysville from the state and the MSD to support the work in the special services department. Is it on now? Do I have sound? Okay, great. I do have a teacher voice if I need to use it. Has to do with Zoom. Okay, perfect. So I'd like to introduce you to the Adult Transition Program. It is a program designed for young adults 18 to 22, previously 18 to 21, but the legislature just passed a new bill allowing students to stay through the school year in which they turn 22. Now, for clarification, if you turn 22 during this school year, that new law doesn't apply to you. It only takes effect on September 1. But needless to say, the Adult Transition Program is designed for students who have or should have completed all their high school coursework, but continue to need services under IDEA or special ed to support post-secondary outcomes. So there are 3 pathways within transition services that we support, and that is employment, independent living, which also includes community access and community participation, and post-secondary education and training. And that can be on-the-job training as well as college and career readiness. So as we look at transitioning our students from school to adult life, some of them need a little bit more support. We provide a focus on real life skills, community connections, structured daily living activities, a supportive environment for our students to learn. We transition them into their life after graduation, and we hope that we are teaching them responsibility so that we can prepare them for their future independence. So currently, we have two classrooms at Pilchuck High School, 1 program at Getchell High School, and 1 standalone program at the Adult Transition House. So one of the things I've identified as I've come in to look at the special education system is I've identified a challenge in program fragmentation. So while each location provides very valuable experiences, geographic separation limits their ability to share resources and staff effectively and efficiently, provide a unified culture and set of expectations, and offer equitable access to work-based learning, community instruction, and daily living experiences. So the proposed solution is a co-location for equity and access. So co-locating our programs would foster a sense of community and shared purpose among staff and students, provide consistent and equitable programming across all students, increase our ability to offer more robust job training, community-based instruction, and life skills education, and it would align with best practices in transition programming as seen in other districts and in research-based models. So to do this, I am proposing that we co-create a profile of a graduate for our adult transition program. This will be developed by our current staff, parents, caregivers, students when appropriate, and our community partners, the businesses in which we work. And this profile will describe the skills, the attributes, and the real world competencies we want our young adults exiting our program to have, such as self-advocacy, independent living, employment skills, and safe and meaningful community participation. So why does this matter now? The federal indicator data and IDA compliance monitoring emphasize post-secondary readiness and student outcomes. It is one of the areas of our corrective action plan with the state. Aligning our services around a shared vision builds program coherence, improves our student outcomes, because we are measured on our employment outcomes for our students with disabilities, ensures staff are working towards the same goals, and helps families see the trajectory and purpose of the program. Our next steps are to facilitate some work sessions with staff and parent partners to begin drafting the profile of a graduate, identify potential sites and models for co-location, and develop a multi-year implementation plan with measurable goals and ongoing evaluation. Our adult transition program is a vital bridge to independence for our young adults with disabilities. By co-locating services and developing a shared profile of a graduate, we are laying the strong, equitable foundation for our students' success beyond school. We're not just providing services, we're creating their future. So I'll take questions. From the.
I'll take one community question. Go ahead.
Right. So again, we're going to co-create the vision. When I created the slide deck, I had already met with the staff once. I have a community meeting tomorrow with parents, but we will be putting together a group to co-create the vision and mission and the multi-year plan.
Great question. Thank you very much. Are there, do we partner with any local agencies? So there's the 18 to 22, but when they're 22, it's not like everything's going to be figured out, right? And so are we transitioning our folks after that, you know, after we've released them from the district? Does that make
Once we
sense?
release them, we're done, right? So there is a high school and beyond plan, and there is a transition plan within the IEP that starts at age 16. And that plan is to outline the trajectory while in high school and beyond, so that we can release them to the community partners at age 22 or whenever the student is ready to leave the district. So I know Diane and Jim Strickland and all of the staff within the program really work closely with DVR, but we can enhance that and with our DDA services as well. So there are some partnerships, but we're going to work on making those stronger.
Thanks so much for the presentation. I think you answered some of my questions as part of your presentation in terms of kind of why now and why we're doing this. And I'm hearing a couple of things: consistency across the district and the services we're providing and that are available to our students. And that also it's part of some work that we're required to do by the state to make sure that we're meeting some of those really mandates from the federal government and state government. So I appreciated just kind of hearing a little bit more about the why. And then I guess I appreciate hearing that you have, it sounds like some fairly robust conversations that you intend to have with staff and families. Because again, this sounds like a pretty big change. And I think just making sure that we have input from the folks that are involved is going to be helpful. And I think I also heard you say that potentially there's conversations around where that program might be located, that nothing is quite set in stone. It's a conversation.
I put Getchell up here only because it was located there once before.
Right.
And they do have some of the kitchen facilities that would be helpful, because when teaching students with disabilities, those three programming, everyone needs access to cooking and cleaning and, you know, and we want to make sure all of our students, no matter how able or how high their medical acuity is, that, or how, I don't want to say disabled, but just how impactful their disability is to them, that they're able to access and learn. And we have high expectations for everyone. And so making sure that, you know, our staff have done some great jobs and creating local connections with businesses and partners. But making that systemic is what we don't have. And how can we make sure that every program has the same access to our community and to the services, so that they all have the same opportunities.
Okay, thank you. And again, what I'm hearing is this is the opening of a conversation about some changes that need to happen, but it's the beginning.
It is absolutely the beginning. Again, I've had one conversation with staff. This was the next conversation, parents. I have a meeting with parents tomorrow night. And then we will launch into a group of discussion on how we can move forward and co-create this plan.
I have a question in regard to the adult transition house. Basically, some explanation on what kind of services are provided there and how would those services and experiences be duplicated or replicated, I guess, if we move to one site.
So that is to be determined. However, the services that are at that site aren't site specific, right? It's in a house. Students are able to experience being out of high school. And ideally, an adult transition program isn't in a high school to begin with, right? Because it's all about community access. Different districts around the state have done that, where they've worked with local businesses to place the program in a business. Some have bought houses, others have it on a high school campus, but it's supposed to help students feel like they're no longer part of the high school and that they're their own community, because they're going out and working, they're experiencing jobs, they're taking public transportation. We're launching them. And so what the students who are going to the house, they don't need, they're out in the community a lot more, at least 2 days, they're out 2 days a week. They're checking in and working on very specific IEP goals with the teacher. That is not location specific. It's nice to have a location close to the jobs, but we also want to make sure all of our students in our adult transition program have access to all of the jobs, and that we're developing a robust program for everybody.
Are you done, Craig? Okay. I guess a couple of things that I was thinking about, is I just don't know a lot about the adult transition program. And so I'm curious if you said this is built into an IEP. Sorry, there's a fly right here.
Yes.
So that's how students that graduate get access to it.
So I'll clarify, if they graduate, they're no longer part of our district and therefore cannot have access to an adult transition program. They need to have finished their credits and their graduation pathway, but still need to work on goals in their IEP so that they can then meet their post-secondary goals.
Okay, and then I too like that we're looking towards an inclusive process for our families. I have somebody wondering how this is being advertised for parent involvement. You said there's a meeting tomorrow.
Yes, so we have one of our community meetings with the special ed department for families tomorrow. And then from there, we will start asking for, when I meet with the teachers again, we'll start looking at creating the committee to look at this.
And that will go out like as a request to all the parents that are
that are interested.
Okay.
Yeah, but we'll want a small group for the committee
Okay.
at MMS. 6 to 7:30.
All right, any other questions from the board? All righty, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. That's going to conclude our work study session. Is, can't see that clock, whether it's 5:53. Close enough. Our regular session is going to start at 6 o'clock. We'll be back at 6 o'clock. Thank you very much. All right, if I could ask the board members to come on up, board members, we got 1 minute.
You're gonna be an hour and a half? Well, that's a good buffer to give yourself.
All righty. It is 6 o'clock. 21st, 2025. We're gonna go ahead and kick off this regular session meeting. As always, we're gonna start with a flag salute, and I'll lead us off this time. Everybody could stand if you can and remove your caps. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We acknowledge the original inhabitants of this area, the Snohomish people, and their successors, the Tulalip tribes. Since time immemorial, they have hunted, fished, gathered, and taken care of these lands. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and water. We will strive to be honest about our past mistakes and bring about a future that includes their people, their stories, and their voices to form a more just and equitable society. Right. First off, I'd like to acknowledge that Director Thomas will not be joining us today. He's not feeling well, so I will go ahead and excuse him from the meeting. And do we have an approval of the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Superintendent's report.
Right, thank you. There are no separate items on the report tonight. It will just be the remainder items on the agenda.
Okay. Next up, communication reports, staff student community recognitions. We're going to start off with student recognitions. And this is going to be presented by a bunch of people here. Who wants to present student recognitions here? I see leadership and rising like a phoenix in every way. Totem Middle School. Thank you very much. Is that mic on? Sorry. Love that.
Shining ray of sunshine. Everyone daily with. Pulls another job in front of it. He takes great pride in it. And our students are expected to work in his team. As he walks around in our lunchroom and. I love photos. His smile radiates positively as well as welcoming warmth. Jeff is another one of our sixth graders. Demonstrates kindness at lunch and throughout the morning.
Thank you so much. We're going to move on to the Seroptimus Awards for April and May Students of the Month. Yeah, let's do photo first. If the students who are recognized and their families want to come up to the front, we'll take a photo with the board.
Test, 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 test.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to move on to Seroptimus Students of the Month for April and May. This is going to be presented by Shannon Murray, Seroptimus representative.
Good afternoon or evening. I'm Shannon Murray from the Marysville Seroptimus Group. And so for our school board members and members of the community who might not know about the Seroptimus International of Marysville, we are a local chapter of a global volunteer organization whose mission is to support and empower young women and girls through education and training. So each month, one of our big projects is we interview several high school students, not just girls, but boys also, and we choose a student of the month. These students are interviewed and recognized for not only academics, strong academics, but also their leadership and community services and pride in their work. So today we're going to introduce to you students that we chose to represent April Students of the Month as well as May. And we do that so that the students who are chosen have a chance to list this on their resumes if they're applying for scholarships and things. That it's a nice honor for them to have. So first, I will start out introducing the April students that we interviewed from Marysville Pilchuck, and then I'll turn it over to Holly, who interviewed our May students from Marysville Getchell. So the first student I would like to call up from Marysville Pilchuck is E.G. Vaughn Mason. E.G. Vaughn is an outstanding young man with many, many achievements. He is quite interested in business and marketing, and we think that he will be an excellent representative of that in the future. He's a member of DECA and Future Business Leaders of America. Some of his accomplishments, he's been the DECA president, where he spearheaded a campaign that increased their membership by 193%.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's amazing. When we brought him to our Seroptimus group, he shared a little bit about his campaign for that because we're quite interested. He's also had over 129 volunteer hours, so very involved in the community. And in his DECA competition, he placed first in the integrated marketing campaign twice in 2024 and 2025. So excellent young man. I'm going to ask him a question about maybe you could explain a little bit about what it involved in your campaign that increased your membership so much.
I would definitely say that talking to a lot of our members, giving presentations, going from classes to classes, talking to teachers, and basically asking them to go off and tell everyone about like what DECA has to offer. I personally participated in a lot of presentations. I actually went door to door between our CTE classes in my school and actually begging students at that point actually to basically come in and basically see what DECA has to offer. It wasn't. I know that some of you actually went to one of our meetings on February. Mr. Harris actually, and saw my presentation about the importance of CTE. That was one of our ways of using basically a school board member and basically showing everyone that this is what DECA has to offer and FBLA, of course. Yep.
Awesome.
We were just so impressed with his ability to put feet on the ground and get to work and do a lot of the work himself as he's involving other people as well. E.G. Vaughn, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your plans for the future after high school.
I currently plan to attend the University of Washington, Bothell. I currently am in Running Start and working on my associates, but I plan to continue that and going to UW. I want to be in business someday because I do want to become a somewhat of a role model to basically of what it is to be in the business world. As you can see, a lot of us would know how the U.S. is currently is, and I'm pretty sure that if someone were to come up there and basically say, "This is how business should be, and this is how leadership should be," a lot of children, especially younger children, would be much more influenced in saying, that's what I want to become someday." So, I would say that I would use my position as like a business leader someday to basically become a role model.
Awesome.
Excellent. I'm excited to see how your circle of influence grows and the impact that you have on the community and beyond. Is there someone here that you brought with you that you would like to introduce?
I would like to introduce my mother all the way there in the back. She's the one with the colored braided hair.
Thank you very much, and we'll give you your certificate.
Sorry about that. I would like to introduce more about my mother. A little bit. She is actually an engineer for Blue Origin. She works for Blue Origin as an engineer. I would like to introduce my mother a little bit because she has become one of the most influential people in my life, of course, as a mother. But aside of that, my mother has been a single woman a lot of her life. She's done a lot for me and a lot for my family too. It goes underappreciated a lot of times, and I'm pretty sure that being out here would be like a little bit practically scratching the surface of me, basically showing off what she has done for me. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't even be standing here holding this award and basically saying this is what I've done if it weren't for her.
That's so awesome. It really does take a lot of people to produce an excellent young man like that. So we appreciate all of the work from parents and teachers and community. Our next winner for April, I'd like to introduce is Aisha Nayaya. Aisha's an amazing young woman with many good academic credits to her name, and she's also very involved in her community. She has had several achievements. She's been involved with the Black Student Union from 2021 to currently as an assembly coordinator, treasurer, and president. She's worked with the Key Club for the last couple of years as treasurer and secretary, a link crew leader for the last 3 years. She's a National Honor Society member and a Marysville Getchell High School Ambassadors Club member. And she's also been involved in the advanced leadership project management from president as club coordinator and secretary. So quite a few accomplishments. But I was wondering if one of the things that we loved was the work that Aisha has done in her mosque with the children as working in her community. And so I was wondering, Aisha, could you tell us some of your favorite parts about working with the young kids?
So, I've been going to religious school at this organization called Bilal Islamic Center in Everett. And I actually started as a student myself at 6 years old. And so I've been there for a pretty long time and it's like a community to me. And so recently, as of last year, my teacher came to me with the offer of being a teacher assistant and teaching the younger kids. And so I took him up on the offer, and every weekend on Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I go to the school for 3 hours, and I'm able to teach the kids the same concepts that I grew up learning. And it really is kind of like a full circle moment for me because I grew up there and like I was once in their shoes, and being able to just watch the kids learn and like be a teacher, because my dream when I was younger was to be a teacher, and I love kids. I love working with kids. And so being able to go there and give back to my community is very fulfilling.
Excellent. That work in the community. And then after high school, can you tell us a little bit about your plans for after high school?
So I actually just this past weekend I committed to the University of Washington, Seattle, and I plan on going there and majoring in medicine. I want to become a physician. Specifically, I do want to work in dermatology as of right now, but later on in the future, like I do hope on like changing to maybe family medicine or like just like seeing all the specialties, because I like that there's so much lateral mobility and like you can change different specialties. Yeah, I also do hope to earn a master's degree in physician assistant studies. Yeah.
Awesome.
Big plans. That's awesome. Did you bring anyone with you that you would like to introduce tonight?
Yeah, I came with my dad. He's actually the reason why I'm here too. He's been my biggest inspiration, and he's one of the reasons why like I want to work in the medical field. He's actually been battling cancer for the past couple years, and just watching him and like seeing how he has like pushed every day and like works to provide for us and our family and like make sure like I have the best life possible. So yeah, so
Great. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, Aisha. And now I'm going to turn it over to another one of our members. Holly Cheney is going to introduce the May students.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Raise up the mic here and hopefully you can all hear me okay. So tonight I have the honor, the privilege to introduce two students from Marysville Pilchuck High School. And I want to start with, if he's here, because I didn't see him before we started, but John David Chan, are you here? I was worried that he might not have been able to make it. So, so let me talk a little bit about David. He goes by David, just an amazing young man. He moved here from the Philippines a couple of years ago. Absolutely loves technology, building PCs and gaming and doing all kinds of things. He's done some amazing work for Rotary back in the Philippines. His parents were really involved, so he got very involved with the Rotary in Philippines. And also has done a number of different functions here and helping out with the community once he got here as well. He's part of the National Honor Society, Key Clubs, and he's also doing Running Start. So I was going to have him talk a little bit about his plans for the future, but they involve being in computer science. So without him here, we'll just let you know, spoiler alert, that's his plan. But then also I'd like to introduce our other student of the month from Marysville Pilchuck, Aideen Bobadilla. So Aideen, we got to meet when I did the interview a couple weeks back, and she also actually has moved here from the Philippines, but it's been quite a few years, many more years that she has been here. And so she is an amazing volleyball player. She loves to play not only club, but athletics at the school as well. She has served as captain as well for volleyball. And she also plays tennis, but she also, one thing that really struck me about her, and I'll have her talk a little bit about it here in a second, is she works at the YMCA and she does a lot of coaching there and reffing and things like that. So something in her story when she shared with us during the interview, I'm going to have her talk about in a second, but I'm going to brag on her for just another second or two. So she's also a member of the ASB and does the social media, does the managing of the social media, which is a leadership position. She also helps out with the CJK Foundation, which of course helps with mental health awareness and things like that. She also is Running Start. I don't think I said that at the beginning, but we'll have her answer a few quick questions so that you guys can hear a little bit more from her about herself. But I did want to have her talk a little bit about her, what she has, sorry, I lost my page. Okay, what she loves best about coaching and sort of being in a leadership role for athletics.
Hi, thank you for having me here. I'm Aideen, and one thing I like, just things I love about coaching and leadership is just being able to share the passion I've had since I was little. My dad was always there to coach me, and I just want to bring that back, like bring that same love for other kids in our community, especially in the YMCA, where we see like kids who are not like who are financially in need. So we are there to always help them and support them. And I always volunteer for free and just helping out and sharing the passion that I've always had since I was little.
We love that. Also, we would love to hear a little bit from you about your future plans after high school. What do you plan to do, in pursuit of your plan? And then what is your ultimate plan?
As of right now, I'm running start for pre-medicine, and I will be transferring to St. Martin's University to play Division II volleyball to become hopefully a doctor and get my doctorate's degree.
And the final question is, who have you brought with you tonight that has helped bring you to this place?
I brought here is my mother over there. She's always sacrificed so much for me. She was willing to drop anything, not just like anything, but just like her life. She came from the Philippines and it was always hard for her to just like be here, and just like her sacrificing just really means a lot for me. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Adine. I think we want to grab a photo real quick. Is that true?
Correct,
Okay,
yep.
so if we can have all the students that were here come on up to the front and
well
with
as
their
our parents,
families, and we'll get a quick photo.
All right, we're not done with the good news yet. We've got staff recognitions now. This is going to be introduced by Jody Runyon, Director of Communications. Hello, Jody.
Good evening. Hello. So we've heard all about our amazing students. Now we get to hear about some amazing staff members. We actually have 3 schools that we're recognizing tonight: the Early Learning Center, Pinewood Elementary School, and Legacy High School. So I'm going to start the night off with Aline Awakara. She's the principal of the Early Learning Center, and that will be followed up by Mr. Rich Mida, the principal of Pinewood, followed up by Miss Ayana Lee, the principal of Legacy. So Aline, if you can join me up here, please. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Aline Arakawa, the fortunate principal of the Early Learning Center. And in the 7 years that I've been with the district, I'd always heard about the Early Learning Center. We had students from that program, and the program kept on growing and growing. And now that I'm with the program, I've realized what a hidden gem of a program this is. And I have to tell you, it is a program that has 2 separate programs that is under the umbrella of the Early Learning Center. There's the ECAP Early Learning Program, and then there's also the special ed side of the program. And what makes the 3 people we're recognizing tonight is they are the people that help to join the Early Learning Center to be one unified program for working for kids. We have 59 staff people serving 409 students currently. So you could imagine it is very difficult, especially in an exceptional program, to choose the right people to be recognized, because really, quite honestly, anyone on our staff could be recognized. So I turned to my staff and I asked them to nominate each other and to explain why these people are deserving. And then I asked my leadership team to help me vet all of the nominations. So these people were recognized by their peers and our leadership team. So to start off, I'd like to ask Joanne Ritchie to join us. So Joanne was recognized for the standards of relationships and professionalism. And she has served with the Marysville School District for 27 years.
Yeah.
She's hung in there. She creates a warm and welcoming environment for every child on campus and always shows up for students and coworkers. Joanne has a gigantic heart and it shows in the work that she does. Thank you so much, Joanne. I'd also like to recognize and bring up Melissa Wiley. Melissa is being recognized for exhibiting the standards of courtesy and relationship. So Melissa is the glue that binds our school together. She is an amazing example of someone who helps to create a positive work environment. And I have to tell you, we do a lot of evening events where kids from both programs come. They always go straight to her because all the kids know her.
Yeah.
So thank you, Melissa. And the last person that I'd like to recognize is Jake Brown. So Jake is being recognized for exhibiting the standard of relationship and learning. Jake Brown is a huge reason for our inclusive campus thrives. He is always willing to help staff with tools that support all kids and is a go-to resource for families looking for ways to strengthen social emotional learning at home. Jake also plays a key role in making the transition from birth to three programs to the ELC smooth and supportive, ensuring families feel confident and cared for every step of the way. So while Jake does represent our special ed side of the house, he really does consult and as a resource to all of our families and kids at the ELC. So for that, thank you, Jake. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much again. I realize I didn't introduce myself last time. I am Rich Vidal, the proud principal of Pinewood. I was at Liberty 2 years prior, and I came back because of a massive love for this community, especially with my first year at Pinewood, trying to be able to select a really small few or even everybody, as Aline just kind of alluded to. It's impossible. But as we transition our high cap family to Liberty, which I know that they're going to be in a great place because Liberty loves you, and you know, once a Pinewood Panther, always a Pinewood Panther. So I'm extremely honored to recognize 3 of our high cap teachers who are leaving us. First, we're going to do our most newest member, Liz Lucan. Liz is our 2nd grade teacher. Hi, Liz. She answers the phone as
Favorite teacher.
yes. So it's awesome. But for Liz, Liz Lucan, Pinewood Elementary 2nd grade high cap teacher, has brought an uplifting spirit and boundless energy to everything she does. Her passion for teaching and deep care for her students created a warm, encouraging environment where young learners felt inspired to explore, question, and grow. Liz's positive attitude was contagious, brightening the school and uplifting those around her, students and staff alike. As the high cap program departs from Pinewood, her joyful presence and meaningful connections she built will be deeply missed, but her impact will continue to resonate throughout the school community. Next, we have our 3rd, 4th high camp teacher. This is Amy Andrews. Amy's been at Pinewood for the last 8 years. But Amy Andrews, a 3rd grade, 4th grade high cap teacher, has played a vital role in enriching the Pinewood Elementary community by nurturing advanced learners through creative, challenging, and differentiated instruction. She fosters curiosity, critical thinking, and a love for learning, helping her students reach their full potential. As the High Camp program transitions away from Pinewood, Ms. Andrews' impact will be deeply missed. Her dedication extended beyond her classroom, sharing innovative strategies, supporting staff, and contributing to a culture of academic excellence that benefited the entire school. So thank you so much, Amy. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Perkins did have to leave, but he has been at Pinewood for over 20 years. And Danny Perkins, our fourth, fifth grade high cap teacher at Pinewood Elementary, has been a dynamic force in fostering a love of learning among highly capable students. With his engaging teaching style and commitment to academic rigor, he has challenged students to think deeply, take risks, and grow both intellectually and personally. As the high cap program moves on from Pinewood, there's a pattern. Mr. Perkins leaves behind a legacy of innovation, encouragement, and student success. His influence reached beyond his classroom and has consistently collaborated with colleagues and contributed to a supportive, high-achieving school culture that will not be forgotten. So, thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Rumbaugh, board and directors. I'm Ayana Lee, principal of Legacy High School. And today we will be celebrating two of our rock stars. Today we have Katie Osborne that is being discussed based on relationships. And Katie has dedicated 29 years to Marysville School District. Oh, I was going to call you up later, but thank you. So Katie has been with us for with Marysville School District for 29 school years, starting off as a parent volunteer. And her impact is felt in every corner of the school. She's always ready to jump in wherever she's needed, no hesitation, just heart and hustle. As the ALE liaison, Ms. Katie has also been a driving force behind both the ALE and CHOP programs, building deep relationships with families and ensuring that they have the support they need. Her kindness and consistency create a sense of safety and belonging for so many of our students and families. Ms. Katie, thank you for showing up every single day with dedication and that uplifting spirit that I depend on. You've truly made Legacy better. Thank you. Our next certificate of recognition goes to Tammy Pearson. She is not here with us this evening. She had a prior engagement, but she is also being recognized based on relationships. Miss Tammy is one of the most caring and dedicated paraeducators you'll ever meet. She brings the perfect balance of patience and persistence to work every single day. Miss Tammy shows up and steps in without hesitation and fills in gaps, even when we don't know that they're there. So whether she's supporting our students in special education or standing alongside our seniors who need that extra push to cross the finish line, Miss Tammy does it with kindness and a strong belief in every student's potential. The relationships she builds are real and the impact she has is lasting. We are incredibly lucky to have Miss Tammy on our team. Thank you, Miss Tammy, for everything that you do. Thank you.
If all the staff members who have been recognized would like to come to the front, we can take some pictures together.
I know you saw. You don't want to. You know you don't like to be. Yes, ma'am. You're good. Oh, I'm sorry. You're good. Take 2 steps to the left. One, like okay.
Right, thank you all very much. Again, as the principals and others announced, we have so much talent in Marysville, it's almost impossible to be able to recognize all the staff members who should be recognized. Hopefully, throughout the course of this process, we work through all of those who are deserving. All right. We're going to move on to staff student board reports. First up on this list is the school consolidation update, and this is going to be presented by Dr. Mickelson.
Thank you so much. Good evening, board, Dr. Ramba. I am Miriam Mickelson, and I am the school consolidation consultant. I have the honor of serving the district in this capacity after Dr. Ramba transitioned from that role to superintendent interim of the district. And my primary role is to support the implementation of the school consolidation plan that has been set into motion. Tonight, I am here to provide the school board with the latest news and update concerning school consolidation. Can you hear me okay? Okay, just making sure. All right, starting with the fiscal updates. In our attempt as a school district to portray the cost savings associated with the school consolidation and process and building closure because of enrollment decline and financial constraints, we as a district have attempted to describe these in terms of savings associated with specific buildings. After hearing feedback from staff, we are now more appropriately describing these savings as cost savings to the district, so staying away from individual buildings. And there are 4 different categories presented in front of you tonight related to these cost savings to the district. The first category is the projected cost savings due to building closure, and that amount is rounding up $398,000. Second bucket there is a projected cost savings to the district due to school consolidations, and that amounts to $982,000. Projected cost savings to the district due to program pauses, that's about $390,000. And projected cost savings to the district because of staffing reductions at Legacy High School, that's about $442,000. All in all, total savings projected is about $2.2 million. Some updates from a facility and operational standpoint. Our facilities team is going to take care of the inventory and plans for moving equipment and furniture, IT equipment, P equipment, teacher desks, tables, student desks, etc., other school resources. Similarly, curriculum materials will also be taken care of at the central office in terms, or by the central office in terms of inventory and redistribution of these materials. The idea being that we want to ensure that this is not one more thing for our very, very busy building staff to have to take care of. So we will take the lead and we'll communicate with our buildings along the way. Some updates / reminders from transportation. We would like to emphasize that the feeder patterns for our middle schools and to our high schools have not changed. The only change to account for involves our elementary schools that would have elementary school students who would have attended MMS. They will now have to either go to Cedar Crest or Totem. And we shared previously using various communication channels and platforms in the district with families and staff our school boundary flow chart. That information is available on our district website under school consolidation. So I would encourage our families and our staff to visit there and access that information as needed. So point of emphasis, the middle and high schools that students attend is based on their neighborhood elementary schools. So our transportation staff, using their normal routing processes and timelines, will develop new routes to account for these changes, and we will communicate those as soon as we are able to. Staffing and HR update, Dan Pullman of Finance is working with HR and Dr. Rumba to ascertain staffing needs for next year. We will finalize everything well before the statutory deadline of May 15th for certificated staff. And we are going to work on classified staffing shortly thereafter. Some communication updates. We remain committed to regular and open communication with stakeholders. Principals every Thursday morning receive updates on the school consolidation process. Our staff, they receive information and updates every Thursday afternoon, and our families every Friday afternoon. A very important document to highlight is the FAQ pertaining to the inclusion of sixth graders at elementary school starting next school year. There are a number of questions incorporated into this FAQ pertaining academics, SEL or social emotional learning, logistics, extracurricular, and technology. This FAQ has been shared widely with our staff and our families starting in the spring during spring conferences. And this is also on the website, and we will regularly remind our families that this information is there. This is a living dynamic document that we will update as more questions from families do come up. A couple elementary school updates. Our sixth grade students at the elementary will not be taking their Chromebooks home. They will have access to Chromebooks in carts for their use during the day. We surveyed our fifth grade families, rising sixth graders, end of March, and we closed that survey on April 15th to gauge their interest in the 0-hour band. 0 hour meaning the class would start before the official start time of elementary. That would be about 8:15 for middle school, where the class will be housed. Out of 700 approximately fifth grade students, we had 119 responses, so that's about 17%. It's good, but could be higher. 76 or 64% express an interest in 0-hour band, and 72 did name that they could procure instruments on their own, and only 59 of the 76 express needing transportation. We are going to reopen the survey and keep it open for about 3 weeks until after our middle school band teachers have had the opportunity to finish their elementary tours, because that might generate more interest with regards to 0-hour band. Middle school updates. Dan Pullman, Finance, and Dr. Ramba met with MMS staff and administrators last week to answer questions they might have about the consolidation, as well as cost savings from that measure. And our MMS certificated staffing work is underway, and we expect that to be finished very soon. We remain committed to this process being collaborative and inclusive. So in addition to the subcommittees that were formed, which you were informed about at the last board meeting, where there was a presentation about the school consolidation process, and in addition to the school visits and admin planning continuing, we added to Dr. Ramba's calendar bi-weekly meetings with MAA, and I attend that meeting as well. And I just would like to acknowledge that, again, the cost savings measures are necessitated by enrollment decline and some significant financial constraints that the district has to face. It still does not minimize the impact and some of the pain that comes with it. And I just recognize that everybody is doing their very best throughout this difficult but necessary process. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And thank you for presenting this during the work study in greater depth. If you weren't here for the work study, we went over this slide in a little more depth with questions added. And I believe that that'll be posted online shortly after this meeting if you wanted to go back and view that. We're going to jump into our hearing a business of visitors portion. Got quite a few people signed up tonight to speak. We'll go through this. Each individual has up to 3 minutes. A maximum of 2 people can combine their allotted time for a total of 6 minutes. The maximum time allotted for hearing a business of visitors is 30 minutes. If I've got this list, if I've got three minutes per person on this list, looks like there's 4 of you who may not be able to speak. Those 4 are Michelle Davis, Michelle Brediger, Andrew Brediger, and Anita Taylor. I will, if we can get through some personnel before you and there's still time available, I'll call you out. Looks like everybody is here to speak on tier or transition house, transition services. So rest assured, I'm sure your voice will be heard through somebody else if you don't have an opportunity to speak. And then as always, you can always email your concerns to the board if you don't have an opportunity to speak. I will call out the first person here. I have Chris Davis. Wait 1 second. Are we able to get the timer up on the screen? Thank you. Thank you very much.
President Krebs, if you'd like to forego the upcoming events.
Oh,
this
sorry.
evening,
No, I didn't
that's
mean to. I
okay.
didn't mean to skip
It's
you up.
okay. It can, it is posted on the agenda. If you'd like to move right into hearing the business.
Can we
of
move into
visitors.
the business of visitors?
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you very much, Jody. Right. Looks a little different, doesn't it? Okay, so when we have 30 seconds left, does it turn a color? Typically it turns yellow. Okay, and then when your time is up, if you've got about 15-20 seconds to wrap up your statement, please feel free to do so.
Want to make that 3 minutes?
3 minutes, yep. All right, go ahead whenever you're ready, Chris.
All right, Chris Davis, resident Marysville. It's been a while since I've been here. Welcome, Dr. Rumbaugh. I haven't seen you since I was up in Stanwood yelling out. Welcome. I hope you're treated much better than you were up there. All right, I'm going to stick to the script because it's been a while since I've been here. I was initially going to speak tonight about the ESL program that Wendy Mezzarina put together to support parents in our community. In almost no time at all, she had secured the use of portable at Schultes, 29 Chromebooks, and the expertise and experience of Edison Day and Pella from Snow Isle Libraries for the month of April at no cost. Within a week of opening registration, canned food drives were organized, a community garden sponsored by Wilcox Gardens, and donations from local ELCA churches is ready to be planted, seeds donated by many, including city council members. This project got community buy-in and bipartisan support. Everything was ready to go, and the night before we were set to get started, we were informed that the zero-cost, volunteer-led effort was shut down by the district. When I reached out to the district, I was told, stay tuned. So here I am, tuned in yet again. This brings me to the next thing, the work study. And on the agenda, the possibility of relocating the adult transition program and the students to MP. I understand the cuts have to be made, but the cuts that are being made are carving away from students and families that need the most support, who are most at risk. Public education is not a for-profit venture. Running our schools, our communities, and cities like publicly funded corporations is why we were in this mess. We have a paramount and fundamental duty in the state of Washington to provide ample education for all children. Ample education means generous or more than adequate level of education, going beyond just the bare minimum. Well, I hate to say it, but we aren't even close to doing the bare minimum. We've started cutting away at the very foundations. Now, I know that everything with even a hint of diversity, equity, or inclusion is under threat from the federal government for funding. But we're in Washington. Washington has a state constitution that requires us to take care of these students and families. We have a superintendent of public education, Chris Reichdoll, that is on the record saying we will stand by diversity, equity, and inclusion. So hurting all of the children, the young adults, and families with any kind of inconvenience to our funding to one location for the sake of money is wrong. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to Lisa Rasmussen.
My name is Lisa Rasmussen. I'm the mother of a transition needs son. This is Jacob. He's been in the program for 3 years. I would like to speak on behalf of keeping the transitional house and keeping the levels of the transitional program separated. It's very important for these kids to have a special comfort level. They need to be at a comfort level to be able to relate to the kids that are around them. And it also empowers these students that are at the transition house to move into adulthood rather than to take 10 steps backwards. Being at the transition house allows these kids to be near their work sites. It allows them to use public transportation or to walk to get there, which is real life. I think that Diane Green, my son's teacher, and the job coaches there have just been excellent in increasing my son's confidence level. Without this program, he wouldn't even leave the house. He wouldn't leave the house. He's gotten his driver's license in the last 2 years. He goes out, he visits the friends that he meets in the program. The other fault that I found with Dr. Boubet's model of this robust involvement of DDA and DDR is not all of us qualify for DDA due to financial situations that are beyond our control. I have a child support order that orders my ex-husband to pay child support until he has a diploma in hand. While that's happening, we're not eligible for SSI, DDA, DDR. So it's important for her to remember that to have that as a requirement for the transitional program is going to discriminate against young people like my son. So it really needs to be revisited. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do have Jacob Rasmussen on here next.
No script or anything. What I think is actually going on with like the transitional program, Miss Green here, and also with MPHS transitional program into one, which is actually kind of like stupid in my opinion. I think that's all.
Thank you very much. Next up on my list, I have Diana Green. Diana. After Diana will be Kinder Smoots, just so you're ready.
Good evening. This is my least favorite thing to do in the whole world, but my passion is these people that I serve. So I'm just going to read this. My name is Diana Ferguson Green, and I am the teacher responsible for the adult transition house here in the Marysville School District. I am here today to make a case for why the transition house is a necessary program at a necessary location for providing a free and appropriate public education for my students in our district. For those unfamiliar, the transition house provides services in a naturalistic environment to encourage skill development that allows students to be as independent as possible. This environment supports skill development by allowing students to build on what is already familiar. Located in the heart of downtown Marysville, the house gives students access to a bus line that can reach a variety of off-site jobs. This provides real-life practice with public transportation. A move to MP or other campus would mean longer bus rides to reach the same locations, taking away valuable on-the-job learning opportunities. The students we serve in transition are not high schoolers, they are adults. The change in location for students from high school to the transition house provides a separation between childhood and adulthood. It provides them with a physical representation of the increased responsibility that they are preparing to embrace. The students I serve are adults who look like me and look like you. They walk, talk, and dream like you and me. However, they do not think like you and me. The students I serve are not born with the innate ability to observe and learn. The skills I teach them are skills that allow them not only to get a job, but also to keep the job. In my program, we teach students to call in sick, to find alternative transportation, to advocate for their needs, to use job-appropriate communication, and to access the vast network of support that exists for them in my community and their community. I would like to invite the school board to consider guidance from OSPI that indicates that quote, special education and transition services for students aged 18 to 22 are individualized services based on the student's unique disability-related needs, end quote. A wide variety of transition options is necessary to meet the unique needs of all students. The Transition House provides students with a program that allows them to practice, in the words of Dr. Booby, the experiences, opportunities, skills, and responsibilities that most closely approximate each student's life after high school. Our program gives students a next step forward towards successful independence. A move to the MP campus or other campus would be a step backward for the students I serve. The unique nature of the program provides a differentiated and individualized instruction for students in our district who fall into a unique category. It cannot be replicated on a high school campus, and my strong recommendation that the transition house continues at its current location for the 2025-2026 school year. Lastly, my mission is this, that the last day of my program will look like the first day of the rest of their lives if I've done my job in serving my students. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, next up, Kinder Smoots.
Yes, and I brought with me Terry Brandon up here, so she's your second in line.
You all want 6 minutes combined. Okay, can you set the clock to 6 minutes, please?
Thank you so much. For more than 21 years, I've served as the executive director of Eagle Wings. We not only provide opportunities for adults with developmental disabilities to get out into the community, but we also serve as a voice for them who cannot speak up for themselves. And these individuals don't always fit into like the perfect little box, but really they don't fit into the system as well because their levels and needs vary. So I ask for you tonight to advocate for them and think about what is currently being proposed for these students. And realize that keeping this program the same how it is now will not cost you more money, and it will not create more room in your budget either. So allow me to explain. MSD currently has a transformative approach to education for these students who need help stepping into adulthood. It appears that this program has not been visited yet, has not been evaluated, emails and concerns have not been addressed or responded to, and it's also been misjudged as an individual, stating that many of these students are possibly overqualified. But this is the exact public perception that our organization is trying to fight. It's disappointing to see this judgment coming down from our leadership in the schools because a person looks like a typically developing student or adult that they are. This off-site location is already owned by MSD. This house takes students beyond the four walls of traditional high school classroom and into the real world. This community-based program focuses on their life skills, such as cooking, grocery shopping, money management, job searching, navigating the public transit. And these things are critical for building competence and confidence. So we talk about cooking and nutrition. In a world where fast food is prevalent everywhere, we, Eagle Wings Ministries, fundraises and has hired a teacher, Miss Terry Brannon, to come into Marysville School District as a volunteer. Our organization pays her to help the cheer program. And there are many other nonprofit organizations like Leah's Dream Foundation who step up to the plate and help Jim Strickland's program. I mean, we are here for these programs where budget shortfalls happen. We help make up the difference. And so there's room to accommodate. And in order to save district dollars, Diana Green, she's the one that reached out to us to ask us for help and say, hey, how can these nonprofits come alongside to make these individual, very necessary programs work? So when she reached out to us, we brought in Miss Terry Brannon, and then she sends a grocery list to the students. This is just an example of what's happening in the school. They create the list, they walk to Safeway from the house, they buy the groceries, they're taught culinary skills, but also money management and budgeting for groceries, nutritional values, and making informed choices of their own, which creates more independence. Secondly, consider the significance of job searching and career readiness. In a typical classroom, students might learn the theory of job readiness, but they lack the practical experience needed to secure employment. Just this past year, our organization arranged for them to visit a brand new business here in Marysville. They were able to walk there from the house, and during that visit, it changed the heart of the owner, and the owner decided to hire one of the people from the transition program. Students get to engage in volunteer opportunities because they can walk to where they need to go. And with the current school staffed, they connect with those businesses and are taught with the skills that they need to obtain that meaningful employment. And this can only be done in that supportive, hands-on environment. Thirdly, we talk about community integration. Riding public transit is a skill that many take for granted, yet it's extremely daunting for this population. This program teaches the students how to navigate their community. You can walk there. They practice walking. You can ride your bicycle there. They practice. They map out directions. Some of the families even need help signing up for DART. That is how the majority, we serve over 2,200 adults in Snohomish County, getting them out into the community. And that's the majority of how they get to the events that we do. And that's because these transition teachers and Jim Strickland, they help these families sign up for these programs. It's vital. But then they learn these skills, understand the schedules, and then they know how to call up DART, connect their cell phone to DART, and they're empowered to explore and engage their community and their surroundings. So we talk about the essence of independence. This program's not just about teaching skills, but cultivating responsible, self-sufficient individuals to the maximum of each person's ability. By stepping outside the classroom, students learn to navigate those challenges and make decisions and take responsibilities. So we talked a little bit about Miss Diana. She has stayed below her budget for this program and utilizing community resources. Our organization, we bring in Terry, and if you move them to a classroom at the school, you're going to then have to hire bus drivers, shuttle drivers, and more staff to get them to where they need to go. These classrooms will not be prepared with things like a kitchen or life skills equipment that they need, and you already have it. And as the doctor said earlier in her proposal, this is like the leading edge of what districts are doing, is buying up houses and moving their programs off site. And it's what Marysville is already doing. So it is my hope that you would not make this decision without thinking about the voiceless people. If they're out in the community more, it would just go backwards to have them go back to a school. I thank you for each one of you for your time and for all the ways that you serve Marysville. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I might need some help. Last name Ramos. Okay,
Jenny.
Jenny. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Jenny Guzman Ramos. I am a mother of 6 children, 3 of them with developmental delays. My oldest son graduated in 2018 during COVID. He has Down syndrome, and my other 2 are developmental delayed, and they're in Mr. Strickland's classroom at Getchell High School. One of the questions I had earlier, but I didn't realize that that was only for board of directors, so I wrote them all down. I wanted to know how many students we were talking about. And so there was a slide that showed the students, and there was 39 students that they had up there, 10, 13, and 16. And I didn't write the schools. I think 16 was the transitional house. That was the last one on there. So we're talking 39 students. That's not a lot of students there. But those are the students that need the most extra help at this transitional time in their life. I wish my Claudio was able to participate because I think I would have had a lot more opportunities for him. But what I can tell you about my Amelia and my Javier is being in Mr. Strickland's classroom. They've overcome many obstacles and they're able to accomplish a lot of things that I, as a mother, could not have taught them without the help of the teachers. To combine the students and take away their uniqueness from the individualities that the parents have decided where their children need to be placed is not fair to the student. I don't know how many parents up here have children with special needs, or how many of the teachers that are making decisions on behalf have children in their families with special needs. But common sense tells me that it's the parents who need to be at that step on day one. I did not know about this meeting tomorrow night, or I would have redid my schedule so I could have made sure that my voices were heard. I'm representing 2 children of the 39. My children do not want to leave Getchell High. They don't want to be put into the Marysville-Pilchuck School under 1. They like the uniqueness of what they're doing and the special attention they're getting. They've bonded with the teachers at Getchell High. They're comfortable with the students. They've overcome a lot. I've already said that. I think it's injustice of what we're planning on doing, especially what's happening with the administration United statewide. When I hear President Trump say a retard will accomplish nothing, and that retard is as bad as the C word in my book, that's not right. And so I'm going to have to fight harder for my children on a bigger, higher level than just the school district. So the school district, the board of directors, the administration, the superintendent really need to take heed and listen to what the parents are saying. We have bigger fights more than just the school district, and the school district should stand by our side and help fight everything that we have to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Initials AB. Yes. Okay. Next up on my list, I have Amy Sheldon.
So I'm not here as Amy Sheldon, district employee. I'm coming here today as a mom who actually had a daughter in Marysville School District. And I was here battling for her every single day to get her to where she is now, 28 years old. And I know what these parents are talking about. People coming in and saying our students need to be signed up for DDA. If you don't know, like our tribal native students, which we have a lot of them in this programs, they cannot have paid employment. They cannot get services with DVR, whatever it is. Like
you guys need to do the homework to support all kids. And these kids are so amazing because they're not kids we continue as a community. So when they're out of the school system, they're still hanging out with us, and we are doing bowling, we're doing open mic, we're doing Leah's dream parties. We're also doing video game night, which that was video games were purchased by Special Olympics and donated. The funding I've gotten for Unified Sports was for what we are doing at Getchell with also the 18 to 21 program, 22 program. So that was, all that funding has been given to us with those students in mind. And so to read this on Friday night when I went on Facebook and saw that little chart, that really upset me because, you know, we have built this huge community, and when they leave you guys, they're still with us. You know, I go and hang out with these families. We've created a community. So even when they're done and they age out, they're still hanging out with us because we still create events for them. We're still doing things with them. And I wouldn't be doing my job by not speaking up and saying this isn't right. Parents shouldn't find out about this through opening minutes. There should be communication and transparency. And as people like us, our foundation, we have donated over hundreds and thousands of dollars to the school district. We buy curriculum for the schools. We buy supplies for all of the 18 to 21 programs. We buy supplies for all of the resource room, special education classrooms. People come to us for money and we say, no problem, and we give it. Because all of our fundraising we do is to give back to this school district because we believe in you guys. So we need transparency and commitment to our families because these are the most vulnerable people in our community. And we need to respect them and respect their families and know their fights and battles every day. It's not easy to wake up every morning and be a mom and know I have a 28-year-old daughter at home who hardly leaves the house. I got her out of the house spring break twice. One time was to go to a movie with Mr. Strickland. Now that's commitment. A man who will drop and make plans and still have relationships with those people and be supportive to the families. Diane Green, I love her program. I love going to her classroom. I love going to MP's classroom. Those kids are my family. And I wouldn't be a good person if I just sat there and kept quiet because they matter. And some families aren't going to speak up. But if I don't, I wouldn't be a right person to this community and not say what's right. And doing this to these families is not right at all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, since a couple of people went less than a minute, I've got two more folks that we can get through. Got Michelle Davis is next up on my list. Say that again. Okay, Jen Changjul.
All right, thank you. I will try to make this as brief as possible. Good evening, Board of Directors and Dr. Rombaugh. My name is Jen Chong-Jewel, and I serve as the Transition Resource Coordinator with Snohomish County Human Services Developmental Disabilities. Snohomish County funds programs available to our DD-eligible young people through our contracts with the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation and Developmental Disabilities Administration. I'm here to highlight the critical importance that coordinated transition services play in the lives of our students with disabilities, their families, and their futures. According to the Center in Transition Services latest report, 70% of our young people who left school in the 22-23 school year reported that they had no contact with adult services. That includes mental health providers, Division of Vocational Rehabilitation, WorkSource, Job Corps, college and university student disability services, and of course, Developmental Disabilities Administration. According to that same report, 54% of our students in Snohomish County in the category of intellectual disability graduated what is known as to the sofa. That means they were unengaged in anything, in any employment, education, nothing. So according to the data available to me, approximately half of our current DDA eligible young people who are leaving school this year are not connected to any transition services that our county funds through our contracts. Only half are engaged. That said, I work very closely every year with educators, such as your educators in Marysville, to help identify students who are not currently eligible for DDA. We need to get to them much, much sooner than we do. Seeing them at 18 and 19 in a transition program is really way too late. We need to have these conversations much, much sooner for our families and our young people. Your educators at Marysville School District are focused and committed to coordinating transition services, and they have been excellent partners in connecting students to coordinated employment services and other supports that will help them have improved outcomes for their life after high school. I appreciate deeply the work of school districts that offer thoughtful transition programs, because not all of them do in Snohomish County, but Marysville does. And it is a challenging time, you heard that from a parent, in the world of adult services, both at the federal and state level. We do not know the future and accessibility of Social Security, Medicaid, and other coordinated adult programs and services. Your commitment to offer quality and coordinated transition programs and services means so much to the young people in your community and the greater Snohomish County community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Jen, I do apologize. I see you're right next to another J name, so I must have skipped right over you. I hope you accept my apology. If I didn't skip anybody else, Michelle Davis is next. You and Michelle Brediger, and Michelle Brediger will be the last. Thank you.
Right. Hi, my name is Michelle Davis. I am an para at the Tier House. And thank you for taking time with us tonight. 20-year parent, taxpayer, now an employee, and this is your best kept secret. If you haven't been to the Tier House, you need to come. The doctor hasn't been. Friday is when we heard about this. Super frustrating. Super. So, look at all these people that showed up. They come late. This is incredible because people got this over Easter weekend. It's ridiculous. Transparency. Like this gal here and taught our students. Right here, has employment. Out in the community. And I'm on fire. I'm on fire. I do not have a disabled student, but I bet I have a husband on the spectrum. And we tease about it because these people, these students, these young adults look like you and I, but they struggle. They have struggles that I don't have. They need extra help. I have this silly little letter I wrote, and I have totally deviated from that because I feel like the person who made the suggestions hasn't been there, hasn't seen it. I need you to come to the Tier House. I need you to see what's happening there. It is very different than at the high school. It is separate from the high school. They're not in high school. They are 18 to 22. So I need you to come. I need you to check it out. please look at this. These families are asking for unique opportunities, and you're already given it. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Feel free to bring that letter up if you wish. We'll make some copies, board members. Hello, Michelle.
I too thought I was signing in for the meeting, but I'm happy to speak. So my name is Michelle Brediger. I have two kids that started in the Marysville School District in kindergarten and pre-K. My son Andrew is in his third year of the 18 to 21 program. And he's been in an IEP since day one at Sunnyside Elementary School. So I've kind of grown up with my kids in the Marysville School District and learned along the way. So similar to Michelle Davis, I learned about this on Easter. Mrs. Green sent out an email to the parents and I was like, why is the school district doing this? Where is this coming from? And immediately I thought, well, budget cuts. But after sitting through this meeting, I'm learning that this isn't financially motivated. So I'm wondering what is motivating this? You're hearing from the community that we don't think it's a good idea for our children to be put in one spot. It's kind of going backwards in their development. Andrew's had a great experience at the tier house. Couple things that I think would be ruined by moving back to Pilchuck is their access to community transit and learning how to ride the bus system and walking to places like when they go shopping at Safeway with Terry Brannon at Eagle Wings to do their cooking class. And then Andrew, he's had a volunteer job for 6 semesters and he just got hired by the last place that he worked. So he's a success story from this program. And because they're extending it to age 22, we had planned for him to stay through age 22. If this program goes back to Pilchuck, I don't know that I will keep him in until 22. That's how strongly I feel about it. As far as like the SSI, DVR, DDA, we've been on DDA since Andrew was 5. Has the DVR coach. SSI is a mess right now. Like we're in our second appeal and we're looking at hiring an attorney. And so like you're going to get people across the spectrum and you're going to have to like really look into if you're going to make that a qualification to be in the program. There's a lot of qualifications to get services with each of those programs. Some of it's financially based of the family, even to get a diagnosis right now. I'm sure everyone who's here heard RFK Jr., Health and Human Services Secretary, gave a speech about autism last week that 1 in 20 children are being diagnosed with autism right now. So this program is really important because even if kids stop being born with autism today, you're still going to have a lot of kids coming through the program who are going to be affected and need your services. Some of the things I think are amazing that Mrs. Green does in the program is she gets the kids to talk about things that they're grateful for. She makes them do roses and thorns when they show up to school every day. And that's really challenged Andrew because he'd rather just talk about things that he's not grateful for. But she's been a positive inspiration in Andrew's life. And then parents of kids with autism can appreciate kids not wanting to eat vegetables or touch vegetables. And now Andrew eats vegetables. And I thank Mrs. Brannon for that because I really believe it's his life changed in the 18 to 21 program. Andrew was going to the program at Marysville Getchell High School. He walked in graduation, like he wore the cap and gown. It was during COVID when it was raining in the stadium. And so technically like he walked and he had to take a state test recently. So like things have evolved and changed over time. And I recognize that we're all going to evolve and change over time together. But I think we need to ask why we're doing this. And please just take the needs of the students into the highest consideration.
Thank you very much. I'm guessing Mr. Andrew Rediger just signed in. And if that's the case, if it's all right with the board, we only have one more speaker who's signed up. If we can get through this last speaker to make sure everybody feels like they've had their voice heard. Is that all right? Okay. Anita Taylor, go ahead. Have your 3 minutes. You got 3 minutes either way.
Okay. My name is Anita Taylor. My family and I are a Tulalip tribal family, and we've been in this district since its formation and have been forever ingrained in this community. I'm a mother of 4 children and 4 grandchildren, 2 sons who are currently still enrolled within this district, one at Legacy as a sophomore and one that completed Legacy, chose to not take his diploma and move on to the 18 to 21-year-old program. Our son in the program is currently in his 3rd and final year. I don't need to be here. I may have a grandkid someday down the road that might need it though. And I know what this program can do. This is his final year. My son has been diagnosed with autism, ADHD, intellectual disability, depression, anxiety, OCD, Tourette's, and learning disorders. But if you were to walk by him, you wouldn't even know. He just looked like a weird kid. He was one of the youngest in this district ever placed on an IEP. I write this as a concerned and slightly baffled parent regarding the proposed move of the special needs adult transition program back to any high school. While I'm sure your decision comes from a place of logistical convenience or budgetary wizardry, I respectfully urge you to reconsider because what's convenient on paper may be completely detrimental in practice. Let's start with the obvious. These are young adults. They're not teenagers. Placing them back in a high school setting is not only developmentally inappropriate, it's like putting a college student back in middle school and expecting them to flourish. Spoiler alert, they won't. Moving them away from town where they all walk and ride a bus from basically everything. My son didn't walk anywhere. He's lost over 100 pounds in the last 3 years. This type of move will take away from their times at their jobs. If you put them up at the schools, they're going to be on a bus. It's going to take away their few hours that they do get to be in these jobs and be social. Again, my son left the house one time during spring break, and it was to go see the Minecraft movie. This house is their home. When they walk in the doors, they feel like a family, where they learn how to clean, cook, do laundry, and socialization in small settings. Taking this away and placing them back on a campus could have drastic consequences. These students have already graduated from the high school phase of life. They've moved on, just like we all do when we grow up and we stop wearing Letterman and jackets and we're put out into the real world. Forcing them back into an environment where they've already mostly faced bullying and some much worse is more than a step backward. It's a leap into a time warp that undermines their dignity, independence, and their growth. Their current program off the high school campus supports their progress as emerging adults. It fosters life skills, independence, and confidence, none of which will thrive in an environment surrounded by prom posters and a lunchroom drama. Any high school campus, no matter how well intentioned, it simply is the wrong place for this stage of their development. This move would not only disrupt their routine, it would deeply impact their self-esteem and mental well-being. Imagine being told that you're adult only to be told now you get to be treated like a kid again. That is not inclusion, that's regression wrapped in poor administrative decisions. In short, these students deserve better. They deserve a program and a space that reflects where they are now and not where they were years ago. Please do the right thing and keep the adult transition program where it belongs, with the adults. I understand after being here tonight, because we all just found this out this weekend, that we are only in the beginning stages of these recommendations for these young adults' futures. I just ask in the weeks or months ahead, when it's time for the final decision to come in front of you, that you are reminded of the things that I've stated above and what really matters.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you all for coming up to speak. That's going to conclude our hearing of business of visitors. We're going to move on to the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion for the minutes?
I move to approve the work study, regular session, executive closed session minutes of March 17th, 2025 as presented.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. So we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I think some of the usual comments just in terms of requests for travel, essentially being covered by ASB or other funds, not general fund. And just again, acknowledging the staff and parents and others who make these trips possible for our students. I see outdoor camp and all sorts of just amazing opportunities for our kids, and know that it takes a lot of adult time to make that happen, and really appreciate that.
Yeah, I had one question regarding that. It's really cool to see all the fifth graders. I mean, most of the requests for travel were for the fifth grade outdoor ed camp. I see that most of the costs here are covered by the Association of Washington School Principals through a grant. And I was just wondering, is that something that we count on every year? Do we have to apply for it every year? Or is it something that, because obviously I don't know if we could do that program without their support. So I was just curious on more information on that.
Yeah, there are various grant opportunities and you do have to apply on an annual basis, but there's a lot of state support on that. We get reminders and ticklers to please get your applications in.
And I think in the past, some of it is through, those camps are paid for through like volunteer opportunities, like they fundraise for them.
I enjoy going in fifth grade
Mhm.
or as a fifth grade teacher, actually.
I will read through some of the gifts to the district here. Looks like Jeff and Kathy Raminger gifted a monetary gift to Cedar Crest Middle School Band in the amount of $1,000 for enhancing the band and choir programs at CMS. Western Pacific gifted a monetary gift to MGHS Girls Golf in the amount of $500 to encourage participation and involvement of MGHS Girls Golf. Brandon Bowman gifted to Marysville School District some equipment, Samsung TV donated to be used as needed, and that TV is a monetary value of $200. And Second Chance Outreach gifted to Marysville Getchell High School, monetary gift of $200, funds covering transportation for Unified Dave and Buster's field trip. Total amount, $1,900. Thank you very much to all of the contributors for your gifts to the district. Any other discussion for consent agenda? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Some informational items that we're going to go through. First up on the list, MSD Running Start Program Agreement with Bellingham Technical College. This is going to be presented by Vonnie Walker, Executive Director of Secondary Schools. Hello, Vonnie.
Hello, Board and Superintendent Rumbaugh. Thank you for listening to me for just one moment. I feel like I'm a little bit on repeat because we have several colleges that we interact with for our Running Start program. The description in here is something you've read multiple times, but this one is particularly for Bellevue Community College. They sent over their agreement, and we just wanted to make sure that you knew we were hoping to move forward and continue that. So Dr. Rumbaugh would do that signature on there, but we just wanted to bring it before you because that's what we've been doing.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for the interlocal agreement between MSD and Bellingham Technical College from the board?
Do we have any students currently going to Bellingham Technical College or taking advantage of that?
I believe first semester we had one. I believe we've had upwards of, maybe 5 or 6 in some cases, one semester or another. Every college is open, well, just about every college in the state is open to that program. So sometimes we have students who are interested in something that Bellevue Community College specifically does. In our district, most of our students are usually attending Everett Community College, Skagit. Those are the ones, but we do have some onesies, twosies, if you will, at some of the other ones.
I was going to say you partially answered my question already, which really is not only how many students do we have attending different spots. I think our students kind of naturally gravitate towards EVCC. But then if there's
Cascadia.
and then how do they find Bellingham Technical? Would it be through a counselor that says, hey, I know you're interested in X, Y, and Z, and they have this, or is it really
definitely,
student choice?
it could happen that way through, counseling services where maybe they have a particular passion or goal. Many times it just can be ambitious students looking on their own. Maybe they know someone else, a friend or a cousin. There's all sorts of ways that you could find out. Our students are, made aware of and understand the opportunity for Running Start, which really does open the doors wide to them being able to access many colleges throughout the state universities. So how they happen to trip upon different ones, there's a lot of ways they could find it, if you will.
Okay, thank you.
Including counseling.
All right, if there's no further discussion, questions for this one, we'll move on to the next one. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to monthly financial reports for March 2025. This is going to be presented by Dan Pullman, Interim Executive Director of Finance and Operations.
Yeah, good evening. So this is your district's financial report as of March 31st. We start with enrollment, and you can see that it trends pretty similar on a yearly basis. So based on where we are today, we're looking at an enrollment number of about 18 or 8,900, that little green dot off to the far right. And again, the importance of the enrollment is that's the funding mechanism that the state uses to provide revenue for school districts. The general fund revenue trend, almost identical to every other year, except the one year there wasn't a levy collection. But it's trending at the exact same pattern that you've seen in the past. If it continues to use that same pattern, we're looking at about $193 million at the end of the year as your final revenue number. On the other side of the coin is the expenditures. And again, pattern's a little different because accounts payable changes from month to month, but it's about where we expected. Right now, we're looking at a ending expenditure of about $90.5 million. So you'll see that there will be a fund balance growth if we continue to hit that target for this particular year. Comparison of revenue and expenditures to where we are in the current part of the year. We're 58.3% through our fiscal year, which runs September through August. And the revenue collection is about 54.7%, which is in the ballpark of where you would expect. It's always a little bit behind where you are in the year because the federal grant claiming is always a month behind. And there's some other large grants in this particular district that come in at different times of the year. They're not a routine amount that you would get on a monthly basis. So I feel confident that, where you are now is very comfortable. On the expenditure side, you're about 56.6%, very similar to where you've been in the last 2 years. So again, in that same ballpark. And when I look at these, I really look at trends. What's different than you've had in the past? What's unexpected? And this is very expected information. Fund balance, the red line is where we are, and you can see that for most of the year, there has been a negative fund balance, which has been offset through the loan from the capital projects. I do want to point out that when we get to June, and we'll talk about cash flow, that there's a concern. We'll have levy collection for your property taxes that come in April and May, which will boost up fund balance and your available cash, but that doesn't cover necessarily your June month. And this is your cash flow, and it's the previous year, it's the current year in the blue line, which is your cash, and the red line of what would happen if you didn't have that loan from your capital projects fund offsetting that. And you see that when we get to June, you're looking at, and I'm predicting about a $1.5 million shortage, even with the loan you have in place now. So we have to make plans for June to do one of two things. Either borrow more money from, well, I'll back that up. One of three things. We're working really hard on trying to claim more federal grants on a more timely basis so we can get more revenue in the door before we hit June. So we're going to try to claim more in May than they would have done based on some looking at where we've been charging things. So that's the first thing, is we try to increase the revenue that's available to us. And then we have two options. One is you can borrow more money from your capital projects fund. It has available cash in there, or you can borrow it from OSPI through a advancement process, which if that's the case, it has to be done soon because it's first not guaranteed, and second, it's a lengthy process of approval. But I just wanted to make you aware that this is coming up in June, and it's something that needs to be taken care of long before we get there. It's something that should be happening at the current time. So that's the expectation. The good news is that once you get to July and August, you're going to have a cash flow again. And when you look at cash flow, in case you have an interest, we see that fund balance might be almost $3.7 million, but the cash is only 2.8 million. Well, the difference in there relies in your inventory and also in carryover funds that you are part of your fund balance that you received during the current year, but you haven't expended yet. So you have an expenditure that comes due next year for some of the funds that you didn't spend this year that you received money up front, which is basically your state funds. Things like LAP, they give you the money up front, and then if you don't spend it, you have to carry it over and spend it the following year. So that's the difference between your cash flow and your fund balance. A little bit of a difference in there. And then where are you spending your money? 86% is salary and benefits. And the other 14% that's the MSOC material supplies and other costs, your non-employee costs, almost all of that is purchase services. So if you look at that, a little bit of money for materials, purchase services, and employee costs. So kind of a breakdown of how the district spends the money that they do have. And then you have other funds. Capital Projects Fund has a fund balance of about $7.3 million, but 3.5 of that is actually sitting in the general fund at this time. The debt service fund, about $1.3 million. It appears that there's only an interest payment coming up on that. You've made the debt service payment for the year, so it's a very small payment coming up. ASB has, $1.75 million in there, and Transportation Vehicle Fund, a little over $1 million, but I see you have encumbered evidently one or two school buses at about $830,000. So there's evidently been an order on place, and school buses take a long time to receive, but you have the fund for it. That's where we are currently. Any questions that you might have that I could answer for you?
So, first of all, welcome
Thank you.
to the boardroom. I know you've been working with our team for a while, but appreciate seeing you here. Going to cash flow, and I appreciate that you kind of lined out a 3-step strategy. And I guess I'm sure it's a little bit of an all of the above strategy in some ways, right? That we try to maximize those federal grants as soon as possible. Are we working with folks at the state on apportionment advance? Because it feels like maybe, well, I'll back off that question a little bit, but it feels like maybe borrowing from our capital funds might be less desirable maybe than just getting an apportionment advance, even though I recognize we have to kind of pay it back, like it comes out eventually.
Right. There's two thoughts with that. If you borrow it from your capital projects fund, if you don't have processes in place that you're spending the money,
right,
you pay the interest back to where the funds came from. So you would pay the district back the interest on those capital projects funds that loaned. If you get the apportionment from the state, the interest is deducted from that. So it's financially better to pay yourself than it is to get it from somebody else. You can go either direction with that. And either way, we're gonna have to plan this week,
Right.
whatever we're going to do.
Right.
And make that decision and move on with it. So, yeah. My recommendation would be the capital projects fund,
Okay.
because you do have enough sitting in there. And based on what I know you have lined up and projects going, most of those won't occur until August or later as far as payment. So you do have the funds available.
Okay.
So then as we look towards our, our conversations about next year's budget, we obviously have to, I think we had a plan, right, to pay the 3.5 million back that we had borrowed this
Correct.
year. It just means that next year we have to have another plan to pay back that 1.5 million.
Potentially, you could pay that back in August.
Okay.
Because at this point, you're looking at that cash flow of almost $3 million in August. That isn't borrowing any money.
Okay.
And that is paying back the 3.5 million that is currently loaned.
Okay.
So the hope is that you get to August and you will have paid everything that you owe and have roughly $2.8 million in cash available carrying forward.
Okay. So that 2.8, the 2.8 that we are predicting, if all goes according to plan, knock on wood, right? Would account then for paying back the 3.5 million that we've already borrowed and potentially paying 1.5 million, assuming we have to borrow that.
Correct.
Because our revenue doesn't increase.
Correct.
Okay.
So you said that the apportionment advance was a lengthy process and may end up in a no from the state. How lengthy is the process to borrow from capital projects? We've gone through this a few times, but that's a fairly
You need a resolution.
getting out of binding. We're talking about binding conditions here, right? So getting out of binding conditions means that the district should not have to borrow from our capital projects any further and maintain a positive ending fund balance. And so if we borrow from our capital projects, we're delaying coming out of binding conditions as a district, I would assume. That's what that means. And if we have the ability to capture a future apportionment to cover for June, which is almost always June's always the month that we're weary of because it's the lowest apportionment. If that falls through, it would be easy for us to say, let's do capital projects, correct? And then I guess my follow-on question is, we talk about in the boardroom a few meetings back, the potential of capturing the interest from some of our previous loans in our capital projects and bringing that to the general fund. And when we talked about that, it was almost $1 million in interest. I think it was 900 and something thousand dollars. I'm curious what that interest looks like now. And if we need to cover 1.5 million for June, I would be curious what that avenue looks like if we're still able to take that avenue, how quick that avenue is, if that resource is available to us as a district, and whether or not that would be one of the three that you mentioned tonight. Maybe that's a fourth option that we can look at.
It's not one of the three that I mentioned, and there's a reason I didn't mention it, and I'll be pretty upfront about that, is that I would have to do more research on whether that's a possibility or not.
Okay.
I'm getting input from state auditors that is contrary that opinion. So I think as a district, we would need to reach out to an attorney and get an official opinion of whether the district can do that. There's some very distinct kind of parameters around doing that. It's possible, but it also has to do with where those funds came from that are in the capital projects fund. So it's not a easy yes or no answer. I think it's something that you would want to have a professional opinion that says, yes, we can do this. Because I do know state auditors this week actually asked me about that. Did you move forward with that? Because in their opinion, it isn't something that you can do. Now, again, it's a question you ask them, the answer you get. So the way the question was phrased to them may not be the question that you're actually asking me tonight.
Yeah, and obviously I don't want to pay $900,000 for a lawyer just to be able to capitalize on 1.5 million. So if that's the case, that, you know, I think that's probably out of the bucket, but I think, and I know that you said capital projects loan was probably the better of the two avenues, but I think it's definitely worth and I guess my board members can speak to this too, but I personally think it's worth pursuing the apportionment advance option. And if all else fails, fall back on capital projects loan.
We can absolutely apply. That's, yeah, whatever you guys feel like you want to do, and certainly we can do that.
Well, I guess my thoughts are I'd rather pay ourselves back than have to take it out from an apportionment advance, or pay the interest on to somebody else. We should pay it to ourselves. And then, I thought it was OSPI who, I thought we were being advised that we could move forward with, transferring our interests to our general fund from our capital.
I don't believe that came from OSPI. I believe it was something that may have come through the ESD.
Okay. I just thought it was through the FOC that we were getting that advice.
I
But
wasn't
that's
here,
just a
but I
comment
don't believe
that-
it's the FOC as the FOC that made those comments.
I think my 2 cents on all of this is, I think we want it, we're on the straight and narrow path here. So whatever steps we do take, I want to make sure that both the FOC is on board, the auditor is on board, and all of those good things. I hear your recommendation with respect to capital fund as being again, kind of our bridge, right? Between June and August. And like I said, we'll all keep our fingers crossed that the rest of the year goes the way that we are hoping and planning. And like I said, just from my perspective, as long as, we're on the straight and narrow path here.
Well, I mean, they have to approve any decision we make anyway, so.
That's true.
Just saying.
And I don't know that OSPI or the FOC look fondly on either option. And I don't know that they would necessarily think that one is better than the other in that trajectory of moving us out of enhanced oversight back to binding conditions.
You're absolutely correct. It's going to look exactly the same to them, is that you need to borrow money from something or somebody. It isn't going to change your financial position based on where that money comes from. But we can certainly move forward with, applying through OSPI, and then at the same time, creating a resolution in case it's needed, and then just see where things go.
Do you know if it's more or less common for districts to do an apportionment advance versus a capital projects loan?
Yes, I believe it is less common to do an advance. But again, you have to have a capital projects in order to borrow the money from. So there are districts that don't have capital projects that would only be able to do an advance.
Right.
So you are fortunate in that particular aspect that you do have those funds available. but, you know, it's really kind of the same, whichever way the district moves forward with this, whether we borrow it from OSPI and, have to pay it back to them, or we borrow capital and pay it back. So I think we just kind of go down both tracks at this point and see which one works.
Anything else from the board members? All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move into some board action items. Number one on the list is education sole source for Lexia Letters. This is gonna be presented by Lori Knudsen, Executive Director of Elementary Schools. Hello, Lori.
Hi, good evening, Superintendent Romba, Board of Directors, and community. I'm here this evening to talk about educational sole source for Lexia Letters. Again, letter stands for Letters for Teaching of Reading and Spelling. The ELC Early Learning Center and district-wide professional learning services. As part of an ongoing implementation of structured literacy, the district will provide comprehensive Lexia professional learning for elementary teachers in June of 2025. As you remember, we did the summer training last year. We're planning to do phase 2 this year. This initiative marks phase 2 of Lexia rollout, building on initial implementation efforts. The training will equip teachers with the skills to effectively utilize Lexia's data and resources to support students' foundational reading development, further strengthening our commitment to evidence-based literacy instruction. What I'm recommending is that you approve the adjusted qualities from proportions of the Lexia quote, which I'm going to refer to in just a minute, reflecting lower enrollment in phases 1 and 2 of letters training. Additionally, we have included early learning letters to support professional development for Early Learning Center ELC educators. There is no increase in the cost from the original amount proposed. So just a little bit about the professional development. We're going to continue like we did with K-5, the foundations of phonics and phonemic awareness. So it's the same that we're doing in kindergarten, just at a slower pace and probably not every unit that kindergarten has. And just a reminder, this is not materials. This is just the teaching literacy strategies that we are training teachers on. When we talk about what we purchased, originally we had 160 spots. Right now, to this date, we have enrolled 28 teachers in stage 1, 86 in stage 2, which is about 114. Remember, we have about 160 spots. We have added 40 early learning. That gives us the 154 spots, and we still have open registration for those 6 spots that are left. So just a reminder, between February 19th board meeting and invoicing, 2 things took place. We had a decrease in participation and a decrease in cost that I just explained with stage 1 and stage 2. And we also included the ELC, right, which then increased the number of spots, the participation, and the cost again, which those supports are helping us save that money and use it as we originally brought in front of the board.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve the adjustment of letters training within the already approved Lexia Letters as the sole source provider.
Right. Motion and a second. Any discussion from the board?
Well, I guess I'm curious if this is required for our teachers, then how have we had how have we had a decline in enrollment? Like, how are we not requiring people to sign up for it?
So it is costly, right? So we are using our lap title money with a certain amount. And we are, asking teachers to volunteer their time for this training. What is really positive with this is we'll have 60 teachers that will go through stage 2 training. And then if we continue down this road, we will offer a 4-hour training to those 60 teachers, which they will become then trainers of letters and Lexia. So we are trying to build the capacity of this training where financially we can continue what we have started. And we have dispersed all those teachers. So we actually have, out of those 60 teachers, we'll have a trainer in each building. And of course, we'll have 11 buildings. We'll have more than one, but we've been really working hard to have at least 1 or 2 in each building, if not more. They also will get the certification of science of reading on their any applications or on their certificate if they fulfill all 3, stage 1, stage 2, and then the extra stage 4. The 4-hour training, I'm sorry, not stage 4.
I was going to say, so I think what I heard you say is teachers are volunteering their time.
Yep.
So we're not paying teacher time, we're paying for the training time. And then it's great that we had 40 of our early learning folks sign up. I mean, one of the things that I guess that when I looked at that initially, it's just, I think that consistency kind of program wide, if you will, in terms of using the same methods, right? Even if, like you said, we may not be covering everything you're covering in kindergarten, but the more familiar those things are to students, the earlier they start, that just seems to make sense to me.
Right.
But-
The other 2 pieces, because we know not all teachers are going to give that time. They have young families, et cetera.
Right.
Is we used our school improvement time and we had the principals who were also trained, right? So we did a year of just admin training, and then they also did the letters stage 1 training, and they're required to go to the stage 2. Is we used our school improvement time and put some PD together. So every staff member got that PD during our school improvement time throughout the year. We also have a small team, a curriculum team and teachers that have volunteered their time to look at our ReadyGen curriculum and the science of reading strategies and put sort of a pacing chart together as well.
I have one more question.
Go ahead, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead.
And I apologize because as I was just looking at this, so if we didn't have the level, because I noticed that our costs have dropped by about $8,000-ish roughly. If we didn't have the level of participation, would Lexia have adjusted our contract or?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think that's with some of the invoices that have adjusted it. They do not charge us for those who don't enroll. So if we go with a certain amount, and then they'll adjust.
That was my question, is if it was a lump sum or if it's per participant.
Can you ask that again?
The money that we're paying for the training, is it a lump sum? So you pay this much and you can bring in up to like 150 teachers, or is it a per participant cost?
Per participant cost. Yeah.
This training is a multi-stage training.
Yes.
And so if we had teachers or staff members who attended stage 1 and have elected not to participate in stage 2, to me, there's no return on investment there if this is a two-stage thing. Obviously, there might be teachers who have joined in stage 2 who may not have had the opportunity to join stage 1.
Right.
But I'm just curious if the district provides a training that is a multi-stage training and that training costs the district money, what is our procedure as a district to say, you've signed up for this training, we've paid for your seat, and you didn't complete this training, but we've still paid for the seat. What does that look like? I'm just curious.
So those teachers who did stage one that are choosing not to do stage two, what they got in stage one was still very beneficial. So it's the first 4 units of 8 units, and getting the training just on phonics and phonemic awareness is huge. And some of the strategies that we need to be teaching our early learners, especially the K-5. So no matter what, if they do stage one and not stage two, I'd say it's very beneficial to our instruction in the classroom. Those that are doing stage two, our goal as we move into next year is to continue with that school improvement time to bring those skills that are being taught back into the staff. And then obviously that 4-hour training for trained trainers, it was ultimately our goal to bring trained trainers to the district. So then we can utilize them to go back and train within the time we can offer during the school year.
I do appreciate that model is growing trainers within our own network so that we can provide that training over the course of time without having to go back to providing a program like this. I remember when we first were talking about letters and staff members volunteered their time to attend this training. I think it was during the summer. It was like right when summer started, or it was right when summer ended. I can't remember.
Right when it started.
But there was a huge showing at what it sounds like, and I've heard about the benefits of letters from different staff members over that course of time since they took the training all the way up until today. So no doubt it seems like a wonderful program for the staff, and so I appreciate you bringing that forward to us. Are there any other questions from the board? Student rep, do you got any other questions?
Yeah, I'm just curious as to if the timing of the training is been a factor. I know, having been there, that when you get to June and you're on fumes, it's just
Right.
like,
Yeah.
I've got to go for my mental health. I can't do any more training. And so
Yeah.
maybe if doing it right as school ends in June, maybe that's not the best time to offer that. Maybe in August or something, when you're getting all revved up for the new year and you've had a chance to relax and rejuvenate. People might be more willing to participate in something like that. I don't, just a thought based on personal experience.
No, it's a great thought. And originally we put out a survey. And what we got back from teachers was, let's go ahead and do it. And then I can just enjoy my summer, utilize what I've learned in my planning for the following year. But it might be worth putting that survey out again. Absolutely.
Yeah, do you want to spend the first week of your summer or the last week?
I don't think there's a good.
Tough
time,
choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with our teachers with young families. It's tough.
So since this is an action item, you as the student representative get to voice whether this is a pro for you or a con, whether you're for or against this action.
So as somebody who actually internships at Quilceda, I work with Dr. Colin, and I also work with Miss Page. And I know that they do a lot of work on phonics. And when we do meetings with a lot of the other second grade teachers, this is skills that they don't have. So a lot of the planning and meeting is strictly done by Dr. Colin and Page, but for all of the teachers. And that's simply just because they don't have a strict schedule, and without a strict curriculum schedule, because they are given like pieces like, hey, you can use this if you want, you don't have to. And so if we're gonna be doing that, I think they need to have the knowledge to be able to use these pieces if we're not gonna give them a strict, this is what you need to do day to day. So I think I'm for it.
Thank you very much. And if there's no further discussion from the board, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you very much. All righty. That's going to conclude our board actions. We've got some follow-up items here: work study dates, board meeting dates, and upcoming events. May 5th, 2025, we have a work study and regular session meeting. And that's the next regular session meeting. Superintendent comments.
No additional comments.
Thank you very much. All right, board comments. Director Davis?
I guess, yes, I would say, I want to thank all the families, stakeholders, staff that came to speak on the transitions program tonight. I do, think that it's important that we see that program and get all the perspective. And I feel like I've been saying this, so I don't think I've said this yet since you've been sitting up here, Dr. Rumbaugh, but we have to be better about building out our committees that are helping to like get us somewhere. We didn't have great feedback when we had our school consolidation committee. I really would like us to be better at how we're putting these committees together as a school district that fosters the transparency that it seems like many times when something comes up like this. I know that folks get passionate about their programs and rightfully so, but we have to be a district that is doing this better. We have to operate our committees better, and that's how we're gonna create and sustain the change that we want to see. So I just really want to say that. And I don't think that, like in my mind, my thoughts are all, oh, we have part-time students at the transition house. How could we get more students in there? Not like do away with that. Just from hearing what people are saying about it, automatically in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, part-time, 16 students, how do we get all the students to be able to have time there? So I just really wanted to touch on that because I want our community to know that their message was received. So that's it.
Thank you very much. Michaels.
Thanks as always for your comments, Director Davis. I would echo a lot of that. I appreciate hearing input from the community about the transitions program, and certainly heard from Dr. Booby's initial presentation that it's the beginning of a conversation. And I think part of what you're alluding to is that, you know, we need to have those conversations better and make sure that we're including all of those voices. So look forward to hearing, you know, just that conversation as it progresses. And heard the opinion of the community there for sure. I also really appreciate that Dr. Mickelson, you know, in her presentation on school consolidation, acknowledged the difficulty as we're making adjustments throughout the district. And there's a lot of things that are happening as we consolidate schools and transition to having sixth grade in the elementary schools and, you know, make adjustments administratively as well. And so I just, while we obviously have some very serious financial targets that we need to meet, I just recognize that there's a people component there as well. And it's impacting a lot of lives. And then I guess on a brighter note, Jody didn't get the opportunity to go through all of the different things for the month, but Volunteer Appreciation Week, I think, is this week. Am I stealing your stuff? You can say it too, though. And I just, you know, I am constantly reminded about all the people who step up in our community to serve our kids in a number of different capacities, whether it's teaching math at middle school, or, you know, chaperoning field trips or fundraising. And on that note, it feels like we're in auction season. And so I just want to make sure that we recognize all of the businesses and others in the community that give to the school district all the time, whether it's a $50 gift certificate or time, There's a lot of members of the community out there supporting our students, and it is greatly appreciated.
Thank you very much. Dr. Harris.
Great. Yeah, I agree with both comments there. We need to do better and not to put people into panic mode. So we work on that, and definitely the public school volunteers. There's lots. We couldn't run a track meet or a field day or anything without the volunteers, the great volunteers we have here. It was really cool as always to start with bringing our students in as a former Pinewood Panther. I was proud to see those kids out here and how excited they were about the opportunity to participate. Some really great teachers who I happen to know too. In fact, one of the teachers, Danny Perkins, wasn't here. I happened to sell him a car one time. So yeah, I hope it's still running. Also, it was kind of cool to see, for me, particularly Ejivon, the last group of kids I taught in the Marysville School District. He was one of my last group of kids. And so you always kind of wonder through the process, whatever happened to this person or whatever happened to that kid. And so to see him turn into such an outstanding young man it's a really a heartwarming thing to see. So congratulations to him. Also, we cut Jody kind of out of her highlights tonight, but Administrative Professionals Day coming up this week. And so anybody who's spent any time at all in a school knows that we could not function without our administrative professionals. I think the most important person in a building is the head secretary, followed closely by the custodians. So those are the people that really make things run on a day-to-day basis. So our thanks to all those people for all the unsung work that they do for our students and staff.
Very much.
I just want to start by saying that I appreciate everybody who came to speak on the school and on the 18 through 22 House. I just like to say I appreciate that because I am here to advocate for voices who aren't able to advocate for themselves in a room like this. And that's exactly what you guys are doing too. So I just think it's amazing that everybody is given the opportunity. Also, I would just like to appreciate this packet made and the slideshow made because I know there was a lot of questions about school consolidation. And I think that this sums up a lot of that. And with that being said, also, I'm always happy to be here. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Not much else I can speak to here that somebody else hasn't already spoken to. I will say if there's one lesson that I can continue to learn as a board member is that anytime there is a void or a vacuum of information, chaos almost always ensues, almost always fills that vacuum. I think something that something that I've seen Marysville work towards in collaboration with the community and all of our other partners is a continual process of transparency, to continue to be transparent. I said this actually when I ran for election almost 4 years ago, but there's a difference in being transparent and being actively transparent. Active community transparency is what is desired in Marysville. And if I know this board and this superintendent and this team, I think they would all agree that that is our goal. And I see many people working towards that goal. So I appreciate the community every time they come out to speak. A lot of the times the community brings stuff that even the board may not be aware of sometimes. And so the board never receives it negatively when people come out to speak. As passionate as they may be, it helps the board make decisions more than some of you probably know. And so I appreciate that. I thank you for everybody who has stayed until 8:24 tonight with us. And those of you who are still online, staying with us. Again, our next meeting is May 5th, next work study and regular session. And we hope to see all of the same faces and more in attendance. Thank you very much. And this meeting is going to be adjourned. 8:25.